Ìpínlẹ̀ Ekiti, ìpínlẹ̀ ẹ̀yẹ. Ìpínlẹ̀ Ekiti, ulẹ̀ òyì ní. Ìpínlẹ̀ Ekiti, ìmọ̀ tí gòkè àgbà o. Ayé ayé a ò láyé ọmọ fáyé.
Set that ball rolling. My name is Kyle Divine.
Ìpínlẹ̀ Ekiti, ìpínlẹ̀ ẹ̀yẹ.
The promise of creating a sustainable economy out of Ekiti's knowledge endowment is neither far-fetched nor a feel-good political statement, but a clearly thought-out vision being pursued by the present administration in Ekiti State in a most methodical manner. Hello and welcome. This is Ekiti on the Move. I am Tunji Saliu. First, to our quick takes for this week. You're welcome back. In focus this week, Ekiti prepares grounds for knowledge economy through investment in basic and technical education.
Right from the first administration of Dr. Kyle Divine, 2010 to 2014, the governor has always been clear about how to convert the famed educational potential of the state to an economic resource for sustainable development and wealth creation. Education and human capital development was one of the 8-point agenda of his administration then, with the creation of a knowledge zone to drive the process. When he returned in 2018, he was still convinced that knowledge is a primary product the state could trade in successfully. Governor Fayemi again as the knowledge economy as one of the 5 pillars of administration. For him, I quote, "To survive in today's global economy as Ekiti people, we should be committed to using our brilliant minds to promote sustainable development," he said at his inauguration in 2018. Little wonder then that the first 5 executive orders signed on assumption of duty were geared towards repositioning the education sector of the state from basic to tertiary education. These are abrogation of development levies in all public schools in the state, making education again free at both primary and secondary levels. Executive Order 2 to 5, constituting visitation panels to the 3 state-owned tertiary institutions as well as the State University Teaching Hospital, with the view to gathering input to guide government on ways to reposition them in line with the administration's policy direction and stated objectives. Since then, efforts have been geared towards a new Ekiti, where investment in infrastructure and quality education will promote investment in Ekiti State, and where Ekiti can create their own wealth through right knowledge by redirecting the focus of its teeming youths from the annoying myth of stomach infrastructure to the pursuit of technical and ICT skill sets that are in hot demand in the world of today. To tackle the issue of access, right from basic education level, the state adopted a 3-pronged approach of abrogation of levies, aggressive enrollment drive headlined by Mr. Governor himself, and the introduction of Ekiti homegrown school feeding program for pupils in public primary schools. These measures have increased enrollment in schools as well as reduced the rate of dropout by indigent pupils.
Are you happy to be back in school today? Congratulations, it's my pleasure to be here to officially flag off the registration of pupils into our public primary schools for the 2019-2020 academic session. I welcome the teachers and our pupils back from their long vacation. This event could not have come at a more auspicious moment than now, when urgent steps are required to tackle the problem of out-of-school children in Nigeria.
The governor has been doing a lot to ensure that we capture these out-of-school children, not only capturing them, but making sure that we put them in school, and not only being in school, we want them to pass out 100% out of school. That is the main import of our education policy. And that is the reason why Mr. Governor immediately came. He said, okay, part of the reasons why some parents refuse to bring their children to school is their inability to pay the taxes and the fees that are being collected in schools. Immediately he passed that order 001 that abrogated any form of taxes, any form of collection, any form of fees from schools. There are even some laws that were passed, especially the child right law, that gives the child the right to education. And that law actually makes it an offense for any parent who refuses to take the child to the school and who is using the child to hawk in the street or anything. So there are punishments for that. So the purpose of that is to ensure that we increase our enrollment and make sure that almost 100% will capture school-age children for them to be in school.
Our enrollment has increased considerably in our public schools. In fact, now there is a lot of demand on us now to provide more classrooms because we have more children in our schools. And it's largely because of all the things that this government has been able to put in place.
The state also embarked on improvement of school curriculum by introducing the teaching of ICT from primary school. Teachers have been trained in this area of curriculum extension through seminar and workshop.
This government has been able to empower teachers in terms of capacity building. Since we came on board, we've been able to have at least now 15 teacher training programs to equip the capacity of our teachers. And you will agree with me that you never stop learning. Our children are changing, the environment is changing, technology has come to stay.
Training of teachers, especially in the area of ICT, the area of information technology, that it is very, very pertinent. And I remember last year we sent more than 50 teachers to Kano State for a special training. And then we sent another 20 to Lagos. And we've been doing that regularly. During this COVID-19, we cannot send people out to anywhere. So because of that, we have to resort to online training. And I remember we had a collaboration with Northumbria University in London. They helped us, they trained some 20 teachers. It's a train the trainer program that we had with them. And on the 19th of this month, 100 teachers will be trained by another development partner that we are collaborating with.
The state is investing heavily in critical school infrastructure, even in the face of challenging revenue. This includes supply and provision of teaching materials and instructional guides.
Late last year, we distributed science equipment to all schools in the Ekiti state, and the same thing Subeba has been distributing similar equipment to the schools.
So far, we've been able to distribute computers, books, storybooks. Even to our schools, we've distributed solar panel generators so that they can use the computer sets all of this we've been able to and then textbooks, core textbooks, English, mathematics, social studies, basic science, been able to distribute in spite of their lay resources. And secondly, we've had a large supply of materials from Abuja. And I must let you know that all of this is possible because our government has been able to pay counterpart funding to UBEC. And I think it's important to let you know that we were lacking behind in terms of accessing UBEC funding until this administration came on board. And up to date now, the government of His Excellency Dr. John Kayode Fayemi has been able to pay about 7.6 billion naira as counterpart funding to UBEC, which is a lot when you look at the kind of resources that Ekiti has. But it also lends credence to the fact that this government pays maximum importance to the education of the citizens, especially basic education.
With the payment of counterpart funds, the state was able to access Universal Basic Education Commission funding, which has made it possible to embark on continuous statewide infrastructure improvement in schools.
It's not until we came on board now that we accessed 2014-2015 intervention. So if you go out now, you will see some of our projects labeled 2014-2015. And we are also now assessing 2016, 2017, 2018. 5 years together. And it's because this government now has been able to pay the counterpart funding backlog.
As we speak, projects are being carried out in schools across the state. They include construction of new buildings, renovation of existing classrooms, renovation of toilets, borehole construction, and perimeter fences.
We have on field now 319 ongoing buildings, new buildings. For the security of our schools, we are also providing perimeter fence, and now ongoing, we have completed ongoing, we have 213. This is to secure the environment of our schools, prevent incursion, and they keep our facilities safe. Then we are providing water system toilets, conveniences for our children, and in our schools now ongoing, completed, we have 209. We are also providing water. So we are making boreholes in our schools, and presently we have 105 fairly completed, ongoing 105. A major work that we are doing, that we really must give the credit to our governor, is that he's insisting that he doesn't want us to keep building new schools while old ones are dilapidating. So we've shifted our emphasis actually to renovation. People are wondering, we are renovating so that children are not in schools and buildings will fall on them. Presently now, we are renovating 423 blocks ongoing. Some with 3 classrooms, 4 classrooms, 6 classrooms. And so by the time our children come in September, we're sure that they will have a fairly good environment to start work with. Even though we still have a lot of work ahead, but we've really started, we really hit the ground running.
A wà ní CAC Òkè Ìṣẹ́gun ní ìlú Ìdó Èkìtì. A dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run fún iṣẹ́ takuntakun tí gómìnà wa ń ṣe láti máa renovate àwọn schools tó wà l'Èkìtì state. Ọlọ́run Elédùmarè á máa ràn wọ́n lọ́wọ́. Painting bíbá a ti ṣe, ó wá kù ká ṣe ọwọ́ ìsàlẹ̀ níbi tí àwọn terrazzo ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ parí ní àná. Touching bẹ́ẹ̀ ló kù ká parí iṣẹ́ bẹ̀. A dẹ̀ tún ṣiṣẹ́ àwọn new buildings tó jẹ́ pé a ti ń ṣe first coating àti scriptings àti pillars ẹ̀ lọ. a promise Ekiti State pé a ní disappoint yín o gbogbo nǹkan tẹ́ ní ká lò specimens tán fún wa òun náà là ń lò láti fi ṣiṣẹ́ náà. At the same time mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gómìnà ọlọ́lá gómìnà wa wípé kì í ṣe àwọn foreigners ló wá ṣiṣẹ́ wa àwọn ará Èkìtì àwọn ẹ̀gbọ́n wa ni wọ́n gbéṣẹ́ fún àwọn àǹtí wa náà gbéṣẹ́ fún àwọn bàbá wa náà gbéṣẹ́ fún tó jẹ́ pé àwa náà à ń jẹun à ń mu à ń ráyè sanwó àwọn nǹkan tó yẹ ká san Ọlọ́run ló máa ràn wọ́n lọ́wọ́.
In secondary schools,
As of today, as I'm talking to you now, more than 400 schools are undergoing renovation. And presently, we have been going around, capturing the gaps we have, even from that 400. Which buildings do we need to renovate that we have not touched? And which are the buildings that are terribly dilapidated that we need to pull down? So that is what we are doing presently, and the purpose is that the governor has directed that by the end of 2021, he doesn't want to see any dilapidated structure in any of the schools.
Work is also advancing on 4 new secondary schools established in 2019 and named after some elder statesmen and illustrious sons of Ekiti origin who have distinguished themselves in various fields of endeavor.
This is Banji Akintoye College, one of the 4 model schools. The school is a complete school. When you're talking of modern school, it has the required facilities. The laboratory, we have physics laboratory, chemistry laboratory, home economics laboratory, ICT center, conducive offices for the teachers and the principal, and that is ensuite. We have library, as you can see the level of work we are doing, and Mr. Governor has mandated us that this job must be delivered on or before 30th day of September, and we have given our words. He has mandated us that we should work day and night, that this work must be delivered. And we have given him our assurances that this work will be delivered. 70% of people working here, they are from Ekiti State, the artisans. You can see with the level of involvement. People are making money here on a daily basis. Those that are casting, those that are the carpenters, the masons, the bricklayers, the iron benders. Everybody is working. The suppliers, we are sourcing all this material from Ekiti here.
We discovered that we have overflow in several schools, especially within the state capital. We have overflow in Ado Community Grammar School. We have overflow in Comprehensive High School, Ado here. We have overflow in Anglican High School. So, and the reason being that, look at Anglican High School, the Okokogboro, Okela Road axis. That is the only school around that area. So somehow we believe that it is necessary for us to decongest all these overflowing schools. And that is the reason why we say the governor approved 6 schools. But meanwhile, we have started construction in 4 of the schools.
Government has also introduced payment of running grants to all public primary and secondary schools in the state.
In the past, teachers didn't get regular running grants for their schools. But the good news again is that this administration, the JKF administration, now pays regular running grants to our head teachers and principals to maintain the schools. And on a regular basis now, I've had cause to let my head teachers know that if you have just an iron sheet blown off, get it fixed. If you have an PVC falling down, fix it immediately because it becomes large. And so they know now that they must maintain these buildings and that we will hold them responsible for these buildings once we hand them over to them.
technical education is one area where the Fayemi-led administration is paying great attention in order to match up with its vision of providing functional education and building a skilled population that will be productive in the competitive and technologically driven global community. To this end, the administration has embarked on retooling of its technical schools with modern equipment and improved learning environment to encourage youths to embrace technical education.
In basic education, we have technical education. So in our GSS, they have technology, they have basic education. This is like exposing them. Now, you know what our basic education is doing? It's like exposing children to all the fields. You are exposed to science, to social sciences, to arts, to technical education, to agric education. So it's all-round exposure that we are giving our children in basic education. And it's our hope and belief that at the end of basic education, a child has already developed specific interests in some areas. And so might not be difficult for a child to then say, I would like to then move to technical education.
The governor knows the importance of technical education, and that's why he's putting more emphasis on technical education. We've been doing a lot of advocacy. The board for technical education has done a lot of work, using the traditional institutions, using our religious institutions, using even town halls and town hall meetings to educate people on the need for their children to go to technical, and our enrollment has increased drastically in those schools. And you will know, if we have given Ekiti Technical College a facelift, which is comparable to anywhere in the world. If you go there, and currently we are going to work on 3 other schools, that of Igbara Odo, that of Ijero and Otu. We are working on them, and the World Bank has approved that the IDEAS program will touch those 3 schools.
With the commitment of academic studies at the Ekiti State College of Agric and Technology, Ekiti, and existing College of Earth Technology, Ijero Ekiti, graduates of the new improved technical colleges now have more opportunities to advance their studies as well as enhance their skills. Other interventions in the basic and technical education so far include secured locations for 3 new military secondary schools in the state, payment of WASC fees for 13,390 candidates in 2018-2019 session, distribution of 3,000 JAMB forms to indigent students, installation of 13 solar energy inverters in some secondary schools across the state, release of monthly feeding and maintenance grant for 3 special schools in the state.
You will agree with me that once the foundation is right, then the superstructure stands the chance of being strong. This is what Ekiti State is doing with getting its basic education right. Next week, we will be focusing on tertiary education and the ongoing structured investment there. But before we go today, let's look at our fact file. Thanks for watching this episode of Ekiti on the Move today. Join us again next week. Just to let you know that you can watch this episode and previous ones on our YouTube channel, Ekiti on the Move. We will also be glad to have feedback from you via our social media platforms displayed on your screen. Till next week, stay safe and goodbye.
Yeah.